What we'll do is they kind of score it all the way around to get a clean cut.
Oh, but wow. So that's how you do it.
These are quartz. So this is something I learned from my mother. Ever since I was about 4 or 5, she would take me down to Keokuk, Iowa. And first I thought it was really fun because I just got to catch frogs and crayfish in the creek. But then, you know, she would hand me a rock and I was just like, okay, it's just a rock. And then she goes, no, and teaches me how to open it, and then, you know, you get these beautiful shiny crystals inside. And ever since then, I've been a rock hounder. I've gone all over the world looking for crystals and geodes and fossils, and it's just a passion that has always stayed with me. So during this time of quarantine, if you're looking for something really fun to go do with your kids, head down to Keokuk. It's an easy way to social isolate. You're outside, kids get to play in the creek. And who knows, maybe they'll develop a new love for geology like I did.
So fun.
Hello everyone, my name is Jess and I'm a naturalist here with Story County Conservation. And I wanted to share with you all one of my favorite hobbies, and that is rock hounding, going out and finding rocks. And here in Iowa, we're very unique because we have a special rock. It's actually our state rock, and that is called the Geode. And this last weekend, I got to take a few vacation days and go down to Keokuk, Iowa, and I spent 3 days hunting geodes. And I actually brought some geodes back here for some of my coworkers to crack open, because I think the best part about geodes is the surprise inside and seeing the people's reactions when they crack them open. Oh! Wow! But before we get there, I wanted to show you a little bit about what a geode is and where you can go to find them and how you can even tell it's a geode. So first of all, they're not everywhere in Iowa. You have to go to a very specific place. Keokuk, Iowa is considered the epicenter, and anywhere within a 30-mile radius of Keokuk is a good place to find geodes. A lot of times you need to get landowner permission to go and hunt for geodes. And luckily there are a lot of landowners that actually have made their land public, and they're now called geode mines, and you can find that information by going to Keokuk, Iowa's tourism page and geology, and they provide a link with a lot of places that are open for geode hunting. What I got to do was actually go down to some open creeks and open rivers, and I have some very special friends that have a Amish farm, and they let me hunt the river there. So the geodes that I brought back today are from that river, the Fox River. And basically when you go out there, you look for rocks that are very, very round and kind of have a cauliflower texture to them. They're kind of lumpy. And what I like to do is when I find a very, very round rock, kind of has that cauliflower texture, to know if it's really a geode, I compare their weights. If these like-sized rocks, if one is lighter than the other, I can assume that one's pretty hollow and the other one's probably solid and not having very many crystals in it. Another thing you could do is you can listen to them. I'm going to bring Erica in here. When you shake this, do you hear anything?
Oh yeah, something's rattling around in there for sure.
That's usually a really good sign that there's crystals in there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to open some geodes for you, so you get to take part in the surprise of what could be inside them. So some things you need to open geodes. The very most simple thing you could use is a chisel and a hammer. There are some collectors out there that have special geode crackers, so you get a nice clean cut. Some people have saws, but that's more than I can afford, so I just use the basics. And of course, because you're hitting rocks, sparks can fly, things can shatter, so it's always really important to have your eye protection. And what I like to do is dig a little hole in the ground. And I'm going to put my geode in it. That keeps my rock from moving but also it helps absorb some of that impact from when you're pounding the rock, and it keeps it from shattering too. And what we're gonna look for, I'm gonna bring Erica back over here. And Erica, what I want you to look for is there any lines on this geode where it kind of looks like it wants to just already crack?
Oh yeah, actually looks like a pretty good seam right through the rock.
So this one makes it really obvious for you. So this is what we call a fissure line, and that's where I'm gonna have you start chiseling. If this is the rock you wanna.
I'll do that one.
Okay, all right. So there's no guarantees with geodes. Sometimes you get beautiful crystals and formations inside. For example, this one has a neat calcite crystal, and it also has some minerals in here that glow under a black light. This is a pretty rare geode. You can have some that have minerals called citrines, and these little pepper flakes in there, those are actually a different type of mineral and crystal formation. And sometimes you just get mud. So we're gonna see what you get. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put that chisel there. Okay. And you're gonna just kind of lightly tap on it. This looks like it's gonna break pretty willingly for you.
All right. Woo. What did I get?
She got
a bunch of sand.
Sand, which is pretty common too, but
oh, wow.
once you clean that out, you do have some crystal formations.
Nice.
Let's see if we can get a shinier one now. Okay, so you're gonna look for that kind of natural line. So I'm cracking that one. Okay. That's what we call a dud. And this is the reality of geode hunting. Sometimes it takes cracking over about 4 or 5 until you get that stunning, beautiful one. But I have a feeling it's going to be a stunning one. We're going to try. They believe that's kind of what they would call a thermal line. Ooh, you're cracked. Ooh, yeah. And where the water kind of would be naturally seeping through pores.
Oh, wow! Which is how, yeah, the water and the mineral is how it gets the crystal, yeah.
And what you have is some natural citrine here.
Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
You have to go to Geode is it forms in this layer of rock called the Warsaw Formation, and that's where in this area it's where this formation is exposed. There's other places too, like you can go to Kentucky near the Warsaw-Salem area, and that formation is there as well. But basically, once you dig down through the clay and the shale layers, there's this limestone layer. And these were formed millions of years ago. And the theory is, you know, there would be kind of pockets created in this formation. Maybe it was a log that decayed, maybe it was a little animal that made a burrow. And so there's these pockets left in the dirt. And then what happened is this kind of saline water basically infiltrated through the dirt and started creating a crust around these pockets. And then more water would seep through. And because it's underground and there's a lot of pressure that creates heat, so heat and time can create crystals. And if you were to look at these geodes, the outer part is actually the oldest part of the geode. This was the first to form that made that kind of shell. And if we were to look at this under a microscope, there's these teeny tiny pores, and that is where the water is seeping through and leaving these mineral deposits behind to eventually slowly cool and form these crystals. So,
Did you find one?
I want to do this baby one.
Oh my god.
I hit just some.
Well, how did you find it when it was like, it's so little and you thought that was a geode?
they're just everywhere.
Yeah,
and
just how it looked, what you knew?
Yeah, and I think the little ones are really cute. I figured they make good gifts for people that do like the little succulent fairy gardens.
Oh yeah.
This one is stubborn.
It could be a nodule too, meaning that it's just full. It's not hollow. It's all quartz.
I split it into several pieces.
Oh, there it is. It is a little geode. Oh, wow.
Very sparkly.
Oh, perfect. Whoa, perfect.
Uh-oh. Here comes.
I need to ever give a little tap back.
A little tap in the back. Oh.
Very light.
Little light.
This one's gonna be a good one.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
What does that mean?
Okay.
It's so different.
This is what we would call, this is a calcite formation, and it kind of makes like a snowball, like that. So this is actually a pretty rare geode. And I'm curious, once we clean this all out, maybe that'll get a little sparklier.
Yeah, how do you clean that?
It's a boric acid that you can soak with it, and especially if you get geodes with a lot of iron rust inside them, that helps clean them up as well. But I'll double check that acid.
Yeah, and where do you put it?
I order mine online, but I'm guessing you can probably also get it from Lowe's. A little soap and water might do this one too. This is a very neat formation, so that's a really cool one.
Very nice.
This one,
I'd have to dig that one out.
so that right there, would have probably formed kind of like a snowball like this. We call this a snowball calcite crystal.
Oh, that was beautiful.
So, and you see some where it's like this texture and this glitteriness formed into a ball like this one is. So they're very cool, very rare. So if you hear that, if you're hammering hard and all you're getting is a line, no cracks, this is what we will call a nodule. It's completely solid, full of quartz. I mean, it's still kind of shiny when you open it up, but there's not going to be any cavities inside it, so completely solid. Try it a little more, but I'm hammering hard and I'm getting nowhere, so this would be a